Dear students, today we are going to study two stories about flying. In this class, we'll study his first flight by Liam O'Flaherty and Black Aeroplane in the next interaction by Frederick Forsyth. This story, his first flight is about seagull. This is a story, you might have read such stories in your childhood where animals they interact and then they leave a lesson or a moral in the story. Before you read, since the earliest time, humans have dreamt of conquering the skies. Here are two stories about flying. A seagull is afraid to fly, and how does it conquer the fear? And a pilot is lost in storm clouds, and does he arrive safe? Who helps him? This is a mysterious story which we are going to read in the next video. His first flight. The young seagull was alone on his ledge. Ledge is a narrow horizontal shelf projecting from a wall or cliff. Cliff is a very elongated piece of rock. His two brothers and sister had already flown away the day before. He had afraid to fly with them. Somehow, when he has taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. When you try attempting something and then there is fear which seeps in. The great expanse of sea stretched out beneath, and it was such a long way down, miles down. So he started thinking and imagining very vast expanse of sea. He felt certain that his wings would never support him. So he bent his head and ran away back to the little hole under the ledge, where he slept at night, even when each of his brothers and his little sister, whose wings were far shorter than his, ran to the brink and flapped their wings and flew away. He failed to muster up courage. Muster up courage means to gather courage, to take that plunge which appeared to him so desperate. His father, mother had come around, calling him very shrilly, upbraiding him, threatening him to let him starve on his ledge unless he flew away. For any bird, flying is necessary, is essential, because it is not going to fly, then it is not going to hunt any kind of food for itself, and it is going to die starving. But for the life of him, he could not move. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, nobody had come near him. The day before, all the day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brother's sister, perfecting in the art of flight, teaching them how to swim, skim, and skim the waves, and how to dive for fish. Skimming is, I don't know what you mean by skimming, to move lightly just above the surface, skimming, and diving into so they were perfecting their art of flying and as well as swimming. He had in fact seen his older brother catch the first herring and devour it. Now they have learned to kill the fishes, hunt the fishes and eat them, relish them, standing on the rock while his parents circled around and raising a proud cackle. Then your brother, sister, they made the parents proud. And all that morning, the whole family had walked about on the big plateau midway down the opposite cliff, taunting him with his cowardice. The word is not pronounced as it is spelled. It is cowardice. What is it? Cowardice. Please pay attention on the word. The sun was now ascending the sky. It was coming up, rising higher, and the blaze on his ledges again, where he used to sit on the horizontal sheet on the edge of it, and it was blazing. It was it was burning, and that faced the south. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since previous nightfall. He stepped slowly out of the brink of the ledge, and standing on one leg and with the other leg hidden under the wings, he closed one eye, then the other, and pretending to be falling asleep. Still, they took no notice of him. He saw his two brothers and his sister lying on the plateau, dozing, with their heads sunk into their neck. Now, those who have done their task, they were sleeping very soundly. But on the other hand, he was pretending to sleep, although he could not sleep. His father was preening. Preening is making an effort to maintain feathers. You might have seen birds with their beaks. They brush up their feathers on the white back. Only his mother looking at him. She was standing on the high place on the plateau. Now, mothers are very supportive, so the mother of Seagull, her white breast thrust forward. Now and again she tore at the piece of fish and lay at her feet, then scraped each side of her beak on the rock. Now, this is a way of they sharpen and clean their beaks. The sight of the food maddened him, and how he loved to tear food, and that way scraping his beak now and again to wet it, now to sharpen it. He's doing every efforts to eat the fish, but he cannot go to. No, mother was standing little bit at the distance and encouraging the seagull to come to her, to in this way they can, or he can, fly to some distance, and that will be first step or flying. Gaga, gaga, he cried, begging her to bring him some food. Gall, gall, again some sounds she screamed back derisively, in a manner showing someone that he or she is stupid. But he kept calling plaintively, sorrowfully. What is it? Sorrowfully? Plaintively. And after a minute, so he uttered a joyful scream. His mother had picked up a piece of fish and was flying across to him with it. He leaned out, eagerly tapping the rock with his feet, trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. But when she was just opposite to him, she halted her wingless motion, and the piece of fish in her beak almost within a reach of his beak. He waited a moment in surprise, wondering why she did not come nearer, and then, maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish. Mother knew if she going to show the fish, he's going to try for flying. With a loud scream, he fell downwards into the space, and then a monstrous terror seized him, and his heart stood still. Monstrous, very frightening. He could hear nothing, but it only lasted a minute. Next moment, he felt his wings spread outwards, and the wind rushed against his breast, feathers, and then under his stomach, against his wings. He could fly the tip of his wings cutting through the air. He was not falling headlong now. He was soaring gradually downwards and outwards. He was no longer afraid. He just felt a bit dizzy. Dizzy is an uncomfortable feeling of spinning around and losing one's balance. Then he flapped his wings once and he soared up his, he, no, flown high. Upwards, ga 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 ga, glow glow, their kind of sound they make. His mother swooped, pounced past him, her wings making loud noise. He answered her with another scream. Then his father flew over him, screaming. He saw his two brothers, sister, flying around him, curvating, curvating and banking and soaring and diving. The other act curvating is leaping like a horse, like galloping. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly. Once you learn the skill, you're going to forget that you were ever novice or beginner. Commended himself to dive and soar and curve and shrieking shrilly, very high pitched sound they are taking out. He was near the sea now, flying straight over it, facing straight out over the ocean. He saw a vast green sea beneath him, with little ridges, wave kind, moving over it, and he turned his beak sideways and cawed amusedly. Cawed is a kind of sound made, cawing sound. His parents, brothers, sister had landed on the green floor ahead of him. They were beckoning. Beckoning is signaling, congratulating him as if and calling shrilly. He dropped his legs to stand on the green sea. His legs sank into it. He screamed with fright and attempted to rise again, flapping his wings, but he was tired and weak with hunger. He could not rise. Exhausted by the strange exercise, his feet sank into the green sea, and then his belly touched it, and he sank no further. He was floating on it, and around him his family was screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him scrap of dogfish, kind of fish which is named after dog. He had made his first brilliant, successful attempt to fly.